Think about the last time you planned a project. Maybe it was a home renovation, a major work assignment, or even just getting ready for an event. Did it take longer than you expected, cost more, require more effort than you thought? If so, you've fallen into the planning fallacy. This cognitive trap causes us to underestimate the time, cost, and complexity of tasks, even when we have past experiences that tell us otherwise. The planning fallacy is our tendency to make optimistic forecasts based on best-case scenarios while ignoring real-world complications. We assume everything will go smoothly, even when experience tells us that things rarely do. We dismiss potential delays, unexpected costs, and risks, leading to projects that are late, over budget, and more difficult than anticipated. Let's look at some examples of the planning fallacy in action. The Sydney Opera House. The Sydney Opera House was originally budgeted at $7 million. It ultimately cost $102 million, a 1,400% overrun, and was 10 years late. Boston's Big Dig. The Big Dig was estimated to cost $2.8 billion. It ended up at $8.1 billion and was completed 7 years behind schedule. The Berlin Brandenburg Airport was planned with a budget of 2.83 billion euros. The final cost ballooned to over 10 billion euros. It was 9 years late, following 15 years of planning. The Senior Thesis Study. In a 1994 study, psychology students estimated it would take them 33.9 days to finish their senior theses. The actual average? 55.5 days, a 60% longer timeline than predicted. Even when students were asked for worst-case scenarios, they still underestimated their actual completion time. Step 6 of the decision-making framework, determining required capabilities and next steps, helps us avoid the planning fallacy by thinking through the implementation of our decision. Not just what we want to happen, but what it will actually take to make it work. The planning fallacy causes teams to underestimate the effort, resources, and time required for execution, leading to delays and setbacks. Step 6 forces us to identify key dependencies, assess potential obstacles, and develop a clear action plan to bridge the gap between decision and execution. By thinking through these details up front, we can set realistic timelines, allocate resources effectively, and ensure our plan succeeds in the real world. Here are 5 strategies to avoid falling into this trap. 1. Reference past data. Look at historical data from similar projects. If your last 5 product launches took 6 months, don't assume the next one will take 3 just because you feel more prepared. 2. Break the project into smaller components. Instead of estimating a project as a whole, break it down into smaller, detailed steps and estimate each one individually. This reduces wishful thinking. 3. Use ranges instead of single estimates. Instead of saying this will take 3 months, say, based on past data, this will take 3 to 6 months. Then explain what has to go right to make it 3 months and what could go wrong to make it 6 months. 4. Seek outside perspectives. Get input from people who aren't directly involved in the project. They're more likely to identify risks and challenge overly optimistic assumptions. If you master avoiding the planning fallacy, you'll set better expectations, reduce costly overruns, and improve your ability to manage complex projects effectively. Instead of falling into the trap of over-optimism, you'll plan with precision, confidence, and realism. If you'd like to read a case study about how I personally fell for the planning fallacy and what I learned from it, check the link in the comments.